Are the X-Nauts robots? Are they aliens? What the heck are they? They're covered from head to toe in their uniforms, and we don't get to see what's under there, so nobody knows. We don't get an answer. But in this video, we're gonna look at them from every angle. If you haven't experienced Thousand Year Door yet, but you want to pick up the remake, be sure to finish that first, because we're gonna be heading right into the spoilers. So first off, let's look at the leader of the X-Nauts, Gratis. Gratis' helmet is filled with mechanical parts, suggesting that's his brain. If you compare the design to other stereotypical villains, like, say, Dr. Gero from Dragon Ball, that's normally where a big, fleshy brain would be, but instead there's a bunch of machinery in there. We can't see everything, so you could argue that's not his brain. But in the ending of Thousand Year Door, Gratis gets decapitated by the Shadow Queen. He somehow survives this and is able to live on, but he doesn't need his other body parts to live. Gratis being a robot, or at the very least, a cyborg, is the biggest point for the robot theory, bar none. But we've got other evidence. There are a ridiculous quantity of X-Nauts, like a really bafflingly large amount of them, and you can see them right from the start of the game. These things are used as absolute cannon fodder by Crump, who is their general and commands them to do anything and everything but throw the kitchen sink at Mario. They use the paper aesthetic in order to fold over each other and look even more numerous than they are, making hundreds of them attack Mario at once. Crump can even roll them up into a ball and use them to trample his enemies, using their bodies as literally nothing but ammunition to fuel his attacks. At Magnus Von Grapple, his mech, Crump does that quite literally, sucking the minions up and firing them out at Mario as an attack. Aside from just the raw quantity of the X-Nauts, it's the fact that these guys never seem to complain about being used and abused like this that makes them feel kind of robotic. They just stand there, ready to be absorbed into the X-Naut blob, when even Goombas in Sticker Star and Huff and Puff's minions from the first game don't like being absorbed into a hive mind. The next big thing is that these X-Nauts are seemingly 100% oblivious to the X-Naut base being blown up during Chapter 7. While the warning lights are going off, the X-Nauts aren't panicking or anything. They're just going about their business as if nothing important is occurring. They are entirely okay to get blown up and killed. That alone is weird, but the weirder part is after the explosion supposedly takes place in the base, nothing happens? Tech, the base's computer, isn't aware of how he survived, but he was insistent on teleporting Mario out because he thought it would kill him if he didn't escape. So maybe this explosion might have just killed all living things only in the base, and left any mechanical creatures like Tech alive? The X-Nauts in the base survived the blast, so maybe they too are mechanical like Tech. Now, the real reason the X-Naut base doesn't blow up is because the developers wanted to be able to backtrack into this dungeon in the post-game if you wanted to. However, keep in mind, Gratis fully expected Mario to defeat Crump in Chapter 7. That was part of his plan. But once the self-destruct sequence starts, if it went off and truly destroyed the base, that would be a huge contradiction because that explosion would destroy the crystal stars, which he needs to open up the Thousand Year Door. Some sort of self-destruction that just killed all the living beings inside but would ignore robots and inanimate objects like crystal stars would make the most sense. Like, say, if the so-called self-destruction was just like pumping a bunch of poison gas into the base or something, then theoretical robot X-Nauts might survive. Crump is somehow able to breathe in space when he's defeated during Chapter 7, because he gets shot out of the base and into the atmosphere, and is no worse for wear because he's present in the epilogue and partially heights with Gratis. Now, you could say that's just generic cartoon logic, but in Super Paper Mario, if you refuse to put on a helmet, Mario instantly dies in space, so apparently that's irregular behavior. Well, that's what I would say if it wasn't for the fact that Mario and his partners can travel in space absolutely fine during Thousand Year Door, and TTYD is the game that trumps everything when we're talking about the X-Nauts, obviously, because that's their main game. Regardless, if you do really want to go with the breathing in space angle, there's another alternative explanation for that. The X-Nauts are aliens. It kind of goes without saying when they live on the moon, though it's possible for them to be both robots and aliens simultaneously. In Super Paper Mario, there are 2 TV shows that Francis watches starring the X-Nauts, which suggests that they're either spacefarers or aliens or both. The 2 shows are called The Gratis Chronicles and Starship X-Naut. We don't know much about the content of these shows, but Francis goes on about the propulsion systems of their rocket ships, very much suggesting space travel is a feature on these shows. You can suggest that these TV shows are fictional and don't accurately portray X-Nauts, but the real kicker is that the Japanese version is boring and has no mention of these TV shows, so you can argue that they're just non-canon. While the X-Nauts are willing to be used as cannon fodder by their boss, the other big aspect of their personality is their stupidity, suggesting that they're just dumb enough to let themselves be used by Crump. They constantly say idiotic, stupid things and say, "Dude," all the time. If Gratis created all of the X-Nauts, it makes no sense because he hates them and considers himself to be surrounded by idiots. We do know that Gratis programmed Tech, whose personality is nothing whatsoever like the X-Nauts, further suggesting a difference between them and Tech. If you really want to go with the robot line of reasoning, you'd probably have to say Crump made the X-Nauts rather than Gratis, which would make sense because they primarily respond to his commands and are abused by him in battle anyway. It's generally implied that Crump made his Magnus von Grapple mech, so he has some technological know-how. Their personality is much closer to Crump than to Gratis, but then the next question becomes that if Crump made them, then what the heck is Crump? Gratis making Crump is still weird because their personalities still heavily clash against each other. Crump is pretty much the evolved form of an X-Naut in both design and personality. If the X-Nauts were robots, then you would have to explain the different types of them inside of the X-Naut Fortress. Why don't they mass-produce those instead of the basic version? You can argue that regular ones are more cost-efficient, but one of the types of X-Nauts is X-Naut PhD, which would just be a matter of copy-pasting the more intelligent AI onto those X-Nauts instead of the regular idiot version who says, "Dude," all the time. PhD also implies that these X-Nauts went on to get higher education as opposed to just being, built that way. As far as explaining away the inconsistency with the X-Nauts surviving Gratis blowing up the base, there's a very simple explanation I hadn't brought up until now. There's a teleporter that Mario takes to come to Earth from the X-Naut base, and there's nothing to suggest that the X-Nauts don't use this all the time. There's no signs of rocket ships anywhere besides Magnus von Grapple, and with the quantity of X-Nauts that come, you'd think that you'd see them walk around a lot. And with how regularly Crump in particular goes and leaves from the base, it's kind of ridiculous for him to, travel to and from the moon all the time just to do nothing but give Gratis a report or something. With this in mind, the X-Nauts who were in the base at the end of Chapter 7 probably died, and off-site X-Nauts who were in Rogueport at the time came back to the base through the teleporter before Mario goes to revisit the fortress. The X-Nauts who were in the base at the time probably thought this was all just a security drill, and that's probably why they didn't panic. One of the bigger positive points for X-Nauts being organic is the fact that they have uniforms. During an interlude, Peach puts on an X-Naut uniform and disguises herself as one. How she does that is anyone's guess, given she's way taller than they are, but that's besides the point. The uniform could theoretically be some sort of robot exoskeleton suit, I guess, but there's nothing to suggest anything like that. You'd really think Peach would comment on it being really uncomfortable to put it on if that were the case. Speaking of uniforms, Crump is capable of changing clothes with his Four Eyes disguise during Chapter 5. If he were a robot, changing how he looked wouldn't be such a simple process, and the costume would be a part of his body. He changes on screen in this cutscene over the course of 2 seconds. It's not a long, complicated process, further suggesting that he is not a robot. Final nail in the coffin is an attack used by the X-Nauts. You can see them drink potions which have effects on their bodies, very much suggesting that the X-Nauts are organic life forms, unless you really, really want to say that these potions are just oil or something stupid like that. With all that in mind, I feel like I can safely conclude that no, the X-Nauts are not robots, they're aliens from the moon. And given they never show up in a game after Thousand Year Door, with the exception of some TV show based on their likeness, They probably stayed up there before and after the events of the game, given that's their home. Being the most charitable possible to the robot theory, I don't think there's much of any way to argue that Crump specifically is a robot. This whole thing just stems from Gratis and pretty much nothing else. But what do you think? Are the X-Nauts robots? Be sure to let me know in the comments, and post if there's any other Paper Mario theories you're interested in seeing me cover. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, because it lets me know to make more videos like this one, and it'll let you stay up to date on any videos like this in the future.